Today's Politically Unfiltered episode is going to be about how all of these people that hate Donald Trump, yes, we're talking about the left-wingers that hate Donald Trump, hate everything about him. I put a post on Facebook yesterday, and I didn't get any response. No one responded to it, but I basically said that I didn't understand why certain left-wing people, and I suppose to some extent some right-wing people too, that don't like Donald Trump. Now, I have no problem with people that don't like him. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and if Donald Trump is someone they don't like him. Okay, that's understood. I know of people in my life, whether they're in politics or not, I don't like them either. They more than likely don't like me either. It happens. We're human beings. It's a natural thing to either like or dislike somebody. And it's your right. I'm not saying that you or anybody does or doesn't have a right to dislike someone if they want to. You have every right in the world to like or dislike whoever you want, whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want. Again, I'm not questioning any of that. The question that I have is, with Donald Trump, what I don't understand, I guess, is why is it that there are certain people that I speak with, if not every day, maybe once a week, every other day, whatever, and I don't care what I say. Like, for example, I can put a post on Facebook the other day. What was it? I put a post up and it was about whatever it was about. Let's say it was some law got passed in some state. And the law, it doesn't even matter what the law was about. And I just put it up there. And then I put my opinion. Well, I think this state was either right or wrong or whatever my opinion was. And it has absolutely nothing to do with Donald Trump or Washington or anything that's going on down there. It had to do with that state, something that they were doing, a law that they passed that I was either for or against. It had nothing to do with Donald Trump. And a friend of mine will jump on then. The first thing that they'll say is, well, they probably did that because of Donald Trump. No one likes him. All right, now, they're not saying that they hate Donald Trump, but what are they saying? Negative Donald Trump. Don't like Donald Trump. And in my opinion, it's just one of the million ways that a lefty is saying, I hate Trump. I hate Trump and I hate everything about him and anything that's associated with him. Hate. That's all there is to it. I hate him. And again, I'm not saying that you as an individual, if you hate Donald Trump, that's your prerogative. All I want to know is, why is it anytime that you speak to me and you speak about Donald Trump, it's always basically hate related? And you're telling me that you hate him. And you've been telling me for, how long has he been in politics now? He's been there at least 10 years, I think. Maybe now it's 11 years. I don't know. But let's say 10 years. And for 10 years, every time that you and I have spoke, you have said something to the effect of, I hate Donald Trump. Well, when you told me a long time ago, and then you told me just 4 or 5 years ago, and you told me 6 months ago, I clearly know that when I speak to you, you do not like Donald Trump. And odds are that I know you don't like Donald Trump. I'm going to try to keep him out of our conversation. But I noticed that the only time that you'll speak to me is when you can tell me how much you dislike and or hate Donald Trump, or hate something he's done or said. What exactly do you think that you are accomplishing by telling me that you hate him for 10 years consecutive and nonstop? And I know as long as Donald Trump is president, which is for the next 2.5 years or so, I know that for that 2.5 years, you're going to be telling me that you hate him. And I know that you do, but what I don't understand is why do you keep telling me that you hate him? What am I supposed to do with you telling me you hate him? What am I supposed to do with that? You've already told me umpteenth times that you hate him. You've made the point very clear to me, and now when you say it to me, what am I supposed to say in response? I don't know what to say, other than, well, you have that right. Nobody's saying that you don't have the right to hate him. If you want to hate him, you sure can. I'm just trying to figure out what you're trying to accomplish. I mean, do you... I know a big part of it has got to be self-gratification. When you say, I hate him, it gives you a good feeling inside to say it. It makes you feel good that you're saying it. And I guess that's got to be probably the main reason why you're saying you hate him, because it makes you feel good and warm and happy, I guess, to hate someone that much. But at the same time, I'm wondering, do you think that you're going to change my mind and change the fact that I support him? Or actually, I support his policies. Do you think that by you continuously telling me that you hate him, it's somehow going to miraculously make me dislike his policies? And thus to stop supporting him just because you hate him? I don't know. I really don't know. Well, I put this post on Facebook yesterday because I tried to watch, and I haven't watched him in a long time because I've been so disappointed in him, and the him is Tucker Carlson. And he had done an interview with Hunter Biden. And I don't have a problem with that either. I mean, he can. But what I found very hard to watch, it was I believe, a 2-hour interview. And I made it about 45 minutes. And I'll be honest with you, I wanted to shut it down after about 20 minutes. But I said, no, try to stick it out, try to hold it out, and try to make it to the end. Give this the benefit of the doubt. Even though I'm not a Hunter Biden fan at all, and I knew that everything I was going to hear from him in that interview yesterday was exactly what I've been hearing from him the entire time I've ever paid attention to anything he said. In my opinion, he was doing nothing but, I'm a victim and feel sorry for me, and I've gotten treated so bad when it really wasn't warranted, and I didn't deserve it, and people have changed it. You knew that this is what Hunter Biden was going to say in this interview. And what was a little odd was Tucker Carlson, who has said as many bad things about Hunter Biden as I've ever said. And if anything, he's not only said it, but said it way more than me, and said it eloquently. He has had a way of saying things that was even way better than me. Basically saying that Hunter is, a waste of skin. That's my opinion. He is. He's a rich politician's son who's had everything probably handed to him. He spent part of his life doing bad things, making bad choices, getting involved in drugs, and now he hides behind I'm rehabilitated now. I've been 7 years clean, and which is a good thing. I'm happy for him that way. I don't like to see anyone waste their life like that on drugs and making bad choices and stuff, and I am glad that he straightened himself out that way. But as far as a person, the one thing that stood out that Hunter Biden did that told me everything I needed to know about him was the day that he had to go to court, and he wasn't court, but he had to go in front of a congressional committee to answer some questions. And he did. He showed up and he went in, him and his legal team, and they were sitting there. And then it got to a point where, and this woman I don't care for, Marjorie Taylor Greene, began to ask some questions. And the minute that she opened her mouth and started talking, Hunter Biden got right up and walked out. Now, say what you want to say about Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't have a lot of respect for the woman. I don't. But trying to be as fair as I can to anybody, whether I like them or dislike them or whatever, support them or not support them, in this setting and in this situation, she was right to ask him certain questions. And I can't remember what it was that they had hauled him in there for to question him. But the minute that the nuts and bolts of what he was in there for was the line of questions that Marjorie Taylor Greene was beginning to ask him, the minute she opened her mouth, Hunter Biden and his attorneys got up and just walked out arrogantly. Like, I'm not going to answer your questions. Rules for thee, but not for me, and I'm out of here. Well, when I saw that, that's all I needed to see. And there was another situation, too, and it was basically the same situation. A committee had subpoenaed him and told him to be, and apparently it was the way that they had worded it, and his attorneys took full advantage of it. Instead of him going in and facing a committee that was asking him questions, him and his attorneys stood outside of the building that he was supposed to go into and appear in front of the committee. Him and his attorneys stood at this podium thing and made a statement to the press and was making it very clear, I was told to be here in Washington, and here I am, as you can see. And he was standing either out front of the Capitol or wherever the heck it was. And because of the way that the subpoena was worded, he was able to do this and get away with it. And again, he's rich, rules for thee, not for me. He was pulling that. He was being very arrogant. And this is why I just don't have any respect for the man. So then yesterday, I find this interview between Hunter Biden and Tucker Carlson. And as I said, by the time I got 20 minutes into it, I wanted to shut it off because of both of them, not just Hunter Biden and his bullshit, but then Tucker Carlson. I don't know what the hell has happened to this guy. I have no idea. But by the time I got 45 minutes into this video, I had to shut it off because I just couldn't listen to it. It was nothing but just, well, I used to like Trump, but now I don't. And this is why I don't. He did this or he said that. And, all right, with them personally and with what both of them were saying, they may legitimately feel the way that they do towards Trump for the reasons that they expressed in this video. But I have a different opinion. Now, as far as Hunter Biden, of course, he's not going to like Donald Trump because Donald Trump totally upset Washington so that Hunter's father, Joe Biden, and the establishment that's there, they no longer can do the things that they used to do because Trump basically came into Washington and took their gig and smashed it all to hell. They no longer can, have what they want and do things the way they want. They're still doing things, but they just can't do it the way they used to because Trump has just changed all the rules. He's reset the perimeters. Until Trump is gone, the establishment can't do everything that they were doing. There are some things that they still can, and they'll never stop. And Trump, no matter how good a policies he puts into place, no matter what he does down there, he can't be a total and complete wrecking ball when it comes to taking care of that establishment down there. But he's put a world hurt on them and limited their power. And that's a good thing. And there's another reason why I support Trump and what he's trying to do down there. I don't like the fact that there's an establishment there. I don't like it that they have the rules for thee but not for me. And this is who I feel Hunter and his father and their entire family, they were part of that same establishment. So then I'm listening to this interview yesterday, and I'm listening to both Hunter and Tucker kind of saying the same thing. That, of course, Hunter don't like Trump because he destroyed things down there in Washington. Tucker is saying, well, I like Trump and I supported him, but regretfully, I went right along with him and helped him get elected, only to find out that he went to war with Iran and I didn't want him to. And because of that, now I can't trust the man. I can't anything that he's trying to do, and I have to totally, completely cut him off and all this other stuff. And like I said, sincerely, Tucker may truly consider those reasons as to why he doesn't like Trump anymore. But if you really stop and think about it, really stand back and look at the bigger picture, let's say everything that he said is true and he does feel that way in his core. But what I think it boils down to is if you stand back and look at the bigger picture. When Tucker was doing everything that he did and helping Trump get elected by stomping for him at his rallies and at CPAC and all that other stuff like Tucker did, and he was talking about that yesterday. I think that Tucker, in the back of his mind, was, at the time he was doing that, stumping for Trump and trying to help him win that election against Kamala Harris, Tucker thought in the back of his mind, I'm going to do all this work and I'm going to do what I can to help Trump win. And then when Trump wins, he's going to bring me to Washington and he's going to appoint me to something. And I'm going to be able to work in government with Trump and ride this Trump train of victories and wins and good things. I'm going to be part of it because I helped him get there. So he kind of owes me. He needs to appoint me as a director of this department, a director of that department. And then Trump wins the election. He becomes president of the United States, but he doesn't ask Tucker to come to Washington. You don't think that played a little bit in this I hate Trump now? I think it has probably everything to do with it. I think Tucker did everything he did because he truly believed in Trump's policies and he truly believed in Trump. I'm not questioning any of that. But at the same time that he was doing this, he was also thinking, well, I'm not going to do all of this support and everything just because I support this man and his policies. I'm going to do this because I support his policies, and I expect on the other end, if he wins, I expect to get a little thank you somehow by being appointed some kind of department head or something that has to do with the Trump administration. And yet, when Trump got into the White House, he didn't extend an olive branch to Tucker. And when that didn't happen, Tucker was like, oh. So now all I got to do is wait for Trump to do something that I don't like. And I can say it's that I'm upset with. And that was when Trump started bombing Iran so that they couldn't have nuclear weapons. Tucker had been very adamant about it and very vocal. I don't want to see Trump get into any foreign wars and that stuff. But the only problem is with that point, Tucker had always stood on that, but at the same time, Tucker was going to these rallies and talking at CPAC and everything. In those very same rallies, Trump was saying, I don't want to get into foreign wars. He did say that. Yes, he did. But he also said, Iran cannot have nuclear bombs. And if you vote me president, I'm going to do what I can to prevent Iran from developing nuclear bombs. Now, when he said that, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't look at that as, well, he's going to try to talk and negotiate and all this other stuff. I mean, if you're going to try to prevent a country from doing something that you don't want, how else are you going to do it if diplomacy doesn't work? And we all know you're not going to be diplomatic with Iran. Now, you can try. Iran's going to just sit there and smile at you and tell you what you want to hear. And the minute you turn around, they're going to jam a bomb right up your ass and blow you to pieces the first opportunity they get. So, when Trump was saying we are not going to allow Iran to have a nuclear bomb, anyone with common sense hearing that had to have thought and considered that means that he is going to use the military if it comes to that point. If he tries to diplomatically work with these people and they show that they're willing to work diplomatically, okay. But if Iran does what they've been doing for 47 to 50 years, odds are the military option is going to have to be on the table. So don't sit there, Tucker Carlson. If you see this video, don't you sit there and try to tell me that you didn't understand, because you're smarter than I am. I know you are. You've got way more education. You've been all over the world. You've experienced so much more than me. And here I am, just a little nobody that lives in Deer Isle, Maine. Yet when I heard President Trump say at his rallies, Iran will not have a nuclear bomb if I'm elected president, I'm a little nobody, and I totally, completely understood that he was basically saying the military option is on the table if you elect me to prevent them from having a nuclear bomb. And you understood this, and you knew this, and you knew this is exactly what he meant when he said it. You knew it and understood it probably way better than I did. And yet, yesterday, I'm watching your interview with Hunter Biden, and you're trying to tell me that you couldn't figure that out, that that's what President Trump meant when he said Iran cannot have nuclear bombs. And he said it probably at the very rallies and CPAC rallies that you were at, defending Trump and helping him get elected. This is what disappoints me about you, Tucker Carlson. I'm not saying you're a bad person, but if you're mad at Trump because he didn't take you under his wing and bring you down to Washington when he got elected, I'm not saying you don't have a right to be upset. No, I'm saying you don't have a right to do anything that you have chose to do. But I want you to know, as a fan, I was watching your show. I watched you when you were on Fox News. When you were back on CNN, I didn't like you. I didn't like you at all. But you got on to Fox News, and it took a while for me to come around. But then I began to realize what a good journalist, commentator. I didn't realize how good you actually could be and how good you were for us right-wingers and our right-wing movement of making America great again, which is all us on the right have ever really wanted. Making America great again, I think, can be defined as keeping the left and the far left from getting everything they want. It's basically keeping America great, not allowing the left to destroy it. That's what the definition of MAGA is, in my opinion. So that's what I got out of that interview yesterday, that I could only watch 45 minutes of, and I wanted to shut it off at around 20 minutes because I'm listening to someone who I admired, Tucker Carlson. I admired him, and I just don't understand a lot of people that I admired like I did Tucker. They've started doing this. They were pro-Trump. They understood everything that he was trying to do. And then all of a sudden, because they didn't get something out of it that they thought they were entitled to, I guess, well, now I gotta find a reason to be upset with Trump and then turn around and dump on him and then no longer be associated with him or the movement that he's trying to do. I think if it was me, I might have even gotten upset. You know, I helped you get elected, and then you don't bring me to Washington and give me some kind of nice job down there or do something to show you appreciated what I tried to do. You're not wrong to be upset about that. It's how you're dealing with it and what you're doing because of it. What I would do, I would be honest, open, and say, not only did I disagree with him going into Iran, you have a right to disagree with that, but I also would have said, you know, I did an awful lot of work to get you into that White House. And I know it wasn't all me, but I did do a lot, and I yielded a lot of power when I was at Fox News. I do believe that there were some pundits saying that Tucker Carlson had more pull and power than Bill O'Reilly did when he had the O'Reilly Factor going, and all the power he had with that show. Tucker Carlson exceeded that power and had even more. And to see him talk the way that he did yesterday and say the things, and it's the same things he's been saying right along, I was just so disappointed in Tucker, and I have no idea what happened to him. And I would have thought that someone of Tucker's caliber, because I will say, Tucker, again, if you're watching this, I know that you can be better than this. I know you can. I absolutely know that you can. And you know how a lot of times right-wingers say that we all come to a point in our life where in order to make ourselves a better person, you have to do things that's bigger than you. You have to do things that are, you know, when you do something, you do it for something else. You don't do it for you. And what I would have done in your situation, if my assumption is correct, that you're upset with him because he didn't bring you to Washington when he won and went there, I would have voiced my opinion about it, and you would have had the right. You still have the right to now. But I would also look at the bigger picture and the doing something that's bigger than I am and better than I am. You got to admit that what President Trump is trying to do is make a better country and make things better. And by trying to get more and more people aware of what the left has done to this country, what they're trying to do, and recognize the damage that the left did. This is what you did when you were at Fox News. And I think to some extent that's what you were trying to do when you worked for CNN. Back when I didn't like you. Even though you may have been making some good points, I didn't like you back then. But then when you got onto Fox News and I started seeing you more, hearing you more, understanding you more, I thought that you and I were kind of on that same wavelength. And I think to some extent you still are. And I'd really like to see you stop kicking Trump. You can be upset with him. You can feel like he let you down. Okay, you have the right to. I don't sit here and say that you don't have the right to be upset with him, but to turn on him like that over that issue, if that's what it really is, it can't be the Iran thing like you were trying to say yesterday, and any time I've heard you talk about this. I understand you being upset about it, but you knew that this is what Trump was saying during his rallies. You knew when he said Iran is not going to have nuclear weapons. And if anybody knows the way Iran is, diplomacy is not going to be on the table, even though it'll be tried, but it will fail. And it has failed how many times? And the only option you're going to have is a military option. And you know this, Tucker. You know it. And then to go and put a 2-hour video on and having the whole thing appear as though you and Hunter were right on the same wavelength. I don't know what the hell you're thinking. I don't know. I don't know. And I'm pretty sure by having Hunter on there, and you being you with your history and that reputation, it got you a lot of clicks. But I'm telling you right now, I made it 45 minutes, and it was the longest, hardest 45 minutes I ever had to endure. And it's too bad, because Tucker, I know you can be way better. But anyways, I kind of went on tangents here. My goodness, look at me. I've gone 33 minutes. Well, you know something? It's my channel, and I feel like talking about this. And I know I usually strive for the 10 or 15 minutes, but once in a while, I don't mind making a long video and sharing my point of view. And I hope a lot of you out there at least listen to what I say, and whether you agree or disagree, again, that's what the comments are for, and that's what I want you to do. Please give me comment. Let me know how you feel. Let the world know how you feel. And like I say, we can have a conversation about this. I like these kind of conversations. I like these points of view. I really do. You know, if you agree with me, I want to hear the agreement. If you disagree with me, I want to hear your disagreement. It's what America is all about. Okay, I think I've rambled on enough. I've made my point. So now, this is Politically Unfiltered. My name is Arno Betts. I am glad that if you stayed this long and listened to me, I want to thank you. And I want to encourage you to like, to subscribe, share this video with your friends. Let other people see this. And let's all talk. Let's all get along. That's what it's all about. Okay. I'm going to end this video because I've gone, I know, too long. I'd like to know how many people watch this all the way at the end. That's going to be interesting. If I get anybody watching it at all, I guess. But anyways, you guys have a good day. It's Wednesday, August 12th, 2026. I've had a great time making this video. I hope this video is a big hit. I really do. Okay, we'll catch you in the next video tomorrow. If anything happens today, I'll pop out another video today at some point. But until then, we'll catch you tomorrow.